Good morning to you. Mark Zeta with HurricaneTrack.com here. Tracking Tropical Storm Zeta down in the Caribbean. Soon going to be a hurricane. We are almost certain of it. And it could be a fairly formidable hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico. I'm going to outline what we know, what we're going to be looking for as we go forward, and then my plans to work with our awesome crowdfunding folks, our behind-the-scenes people, and even some folks that are going to be coming with me to help out to cover Zeta along the Gulf Coast. Yep, time to head to the Gulf Coast yet again. First of all, the stats as of the 8 a.m. Eastern Time intermediate advisory. Pressure up just a hair. It was 990 earlier, if I recall. Now 992. Winds are 70 miles per hour, and it's moving off very slowly still, relatively speaking. I mean, 9 miles per hour. It's not that fast, but it is moving. It was stationary yesterday. Looking at the satellite animation of it here, courtesy of Tropical Tidbits. Still some high pressure sitting over here, imparting some northerly shear. Stronger winds pushing this way, keeping this is called the central dense overcast. It's keeping the circulation from being aligned. So it's doing well for itself. It's strengthening, but it's not doing so rapidly just yet. And until and unless that shear lets off a little bit, it's going to have a hard time strengthening. But it is getting better organized overall. You can see this outflow in the upper levels of the atmosphere this way, and then the inflow down here in the lower levels, spiraling in counterclockwise. Even a band there going across the Caymans. Adam down in the Caymans, let me know how things are going. You see Adam McDoom on Twitter? That's who I'm talking about. Never been to the Caymans. I'll have to try that someday when we can. So the track map. This is from our site, the crowd-funded hurricane tracking chart put together by the great Will Woodgate over in the UK. He's one of our patrons. And this also comes from the UK, from Kari, by the way, one of our patrons. See, it's not just the funding, it is the help and back-end stuff. What we are building is incredible. And this is one of those tools. This is our tracking chart, and you can see that this is forecast to go across the Yucatan first as a hurricane, then get out in the Gulf. I suspect, I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm being just straight up, I think this will reach around 100 miles per hour at some point. I think after the Yucatan. That's just my feeling. That's from looking at what I've been looking at and my experience. I think 100 miles per hour is a good ceiling, Category 2, and then I think it'll weaken as it approaches the Gulf Coast, yes, because of lots of limiting factors. If this was later September or later August, latter parts of those months, I guess that's the proper way to put it, the latter parts of those months, I'd be a lot more worried. Since it's late October, the latter part of October, yes, I'm concerned that we're going to have some pretty good impacts down here. When I say good, I mean as in substantial. The mitigating factors that it's late October, the shelf water is cooler by a little bit. I mean, it's not like it's 50 degrees out there in the water. This will still have some impacts, though. Don't get me, thinking, or get you thinking based on what I'm saying, oh, it's not going to be. Yes, we're going to have some problems with it. We're going to have storm surge all along this area. The hurricane watches, the storm surge watches, all of that's coming. That's a call from the National Hurricane Center when they coordinate with these local weather forecast offices and the local emergency management officials. But that's coming. You know it is. I'll suspect we're going to have watches and warnings for surge kind of all along this area. Because surge doesn't take much to stir up the Gulf, as you know. So that's coming, and depending on where this crosses, you see now the official track is east of New Orleans. New Orleans sits right in here. So the track comes in east of there, over southeast Louisiana, and then over Mississippi, and then it's into the interior portions of the southeast United States. And you know what? This is a cool map. I told you we have some awesome stuff. This is called a physical map. This is where you look at it from like the physical boundaries and features. It's a geographic term. That's the Appalachians and the Piedmont. And this is going to cross on the east side of that potentially. Could have some flash flooding. So this is not just going to be a coastal problem. It's going to be moving fast. That's the other thing. And so that being said, let's just pretend for a moment that it is 100 miles per hour at this point. It should still be 90 miles per hour there, and probably even here, because it's going to be moving fairly quickly. But it will likely be weakening, hopefully. All right? So this is the bigger picture, what you see over the next 5 days. Impacts for a lot of people, yet again. More than likely, this does stay away from the areas hardest hit earlier in the year, Laura and Delta. Lake Charles, Creole, Cameron, even Vermilion Bay, Sippermore Point, our good friend down there, Don Moe. I don't think you have to worry about direct impacts, but we never know for sure, do we? And I can explain that further, and this is a great example of using social media here to our benefit. You got a lot of duds out there on Twitter and Facebook. You do. You know what I'm talking about. Politics and weather, sports, whatever. No matter what the topic is, you've always got these people that think they know everything, or they're very negative or whatever, and it's just like, ugh. Then you have folks like Tomer Berg here, who I follow, and you have and if I'm not, I better be following him. Come on now. No, well, I am now. I follow what other people say about Tomer. Now I'm officially following, Jack Sillen, Eric Webb. You get the idea. If you pick the people that are very helpful, then you can really learn some good stuff. And I do not mind at all promoting that. I'm not Mark-centric here. Tomer does some great stuff. So what is Tomer talking about? Well, the multi-model ensemble tracks are now available for Zeta. What is that? What are we talking about? Well, look. Here's the deterministic ECMWF. That's the red line over here. It is right across Don's house, if you will, at Sippermore Point. That's the operational ECMWF. What about the operational deterministic GFS? It's the green one over here. I'm highlighting it in red, and it's across Lake Pontchartrain and New Orleans and vicinity. The UK Met is the blue, and it's the outlier way over to the west, and you might be thinking over in Creole and whatnot. Oh, no! That's an outlier. That's a good thing that it's an outlier, because outliers, when you talk about statistics, are usually less likely to happen. Doesn't mean it's impossible. And then the overall ellipse, I almost called it eclipse, the ensemble, kind of like the envelope of it. All of these members in here kind of fall within that. Very easy to visualize some of the possibilities of the various and sundry models. And then the mean is the black line here. That's the black one. And it's generally into central Louisiana. That's the mean. The official forecast track, of course, is more to the east, kind of like that, remember? So we'll see if things shift, if they change, etc. These are basically from the 0Z guidance last night. Another important thing to note. This will change. Follow Tomer, all right? Atmospheric science PhD student. Come on, can't get much better than that. I'm just a lowly geography guy. I mean, honestly, so Tomer's got me, and I love it. I love showing off other people's prowess. It's not just about Mark Sudduth here. Seriously. So Tomer, we will be following your awesome work. Way to go. Couple things here. The Gulf of Mexico, yes, it has cooled off. Sure, but that doesn't mean it's 50 degrees down there. The water up here near the continental, or what we call the continental shelf, near the shoreline, cooler, shallower, easier to cool off. But that 26 you see right there, that's 26 Celsius. That's almost 80 degrees. I mean, we're talking like if it comes in ashore right through here, the water is not cold enough for it to just deflate. Other factors, sheer dry air, that's going to deflate it more than the cooler water. And then some of the water right up against the coastline in here is 80 degrees because it's so shallow and marshy in there. So I just wanted to point that out. The water temperatures are cooler, but the swath that Zeta is likely to take in there, plenty warm. And I said, put me down for 100 miles per hour. That's what I think this will peak at. We shall see if I know what I'm talking about. I feel it, from what I'm looking at. And that's, I can kind of show you. This is the GFS from the 6Z run. See that right there? 06Z, meaning it was initialized at 2 a.m. Eastern. And we move this out. 850 millibar level of the atmosphere, about 5,000 feet up. And right through here, it shows, it's those last few frames when it makes that turn. And the GFS brings it just east of New Orleans. See that turn there? That's so important. When does the turn happen? You got this cutoff feature back here, and it comes around this high pressure area over here, and your alleyway is right there in between. So, you know, it's puzzle pieces, it's chess pieces, whatever you want to call it. And trying to figure that out is not impossible, but exactly where this far out, we're only talking 72 hours, you know, it's tough. That's why we have the ensembles, that's why we have the Hurricane Center, and we kind of look at things, and we need to focus too on impacts. And that's going to be coming up once the watches and warnings go up. Now, let's also look at the Euro. This is from a little earlier in the cycle, I guess you would say. Is that how yeah, it was from, or later. I don't know, how would you class it? It's from 0Z. So it's earlier. It's last night. Initialized at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, whereas the GFS over here was initialized at 2 a.m. this morning. So here's the Euro, and this too starting to become concerning. Then this is 24-hour increments. There it is, approaching the Yucatan, getting stronger, and it's over the Gulf there, getting stronger. And then right there, as it approaches south central Louisiana, and again, that's getting perilously close to where Delta was and Laura was. I get it. But it's that turn, and you're like, well, where did it go? Exactly. I think the vorticity signature is right there. So if we go back and try to connect the dots like this and kind of draw between, something like that. That's a hard turn, you know, when you think about it. And we'll see, you know, there, connect it. So now I can kind of put that into motion. That's kind of what it does. Probably going to turn a little bit sooner than that. That's what the official forecast track shows. That's what our tracking map depicts. This is not ours in terms of our forecast. This is our mapping system that I said, like I told you, Will Woodgate put together for us. And, you know, the Euro is over here on the outside of the cone for what it's worth, related to the official forecast track. So we'll see. What's concerning, though, is that the Euro is indicating strengthening throughout. You see that? It's not as robust there, and there it's much darker, indicating stronger vorticity, much more energy, and I think it's going to make it at least to 100 miles per hour. That wouldn't surprise me at all. All right, so I'm going to be heading out in just a little while. After I do this update, I'm going to finish packing, and then it's time to go. HurricaneTrack, we've been around since 1999. Yep, and we are crowdfunded. That's the way we are supported now. How can you take advantage of that? Well, that's through Patreon. You sign up through Patreon, different membership levels, $10 up to $25, and even $100. We're close to 900 patrons right now. Wow, just amazing. What do you get? Well, you get the insider. What we've done is basically, if you hadn't heard this pitch before, and if you have, and you want to tune out, I get it. We connect our Patreon support through our HurricaneTrack Insider. This is kind of our membership area. And once you get there, you have access to the tracking map, the live cams, even the live weather data that we post, long radar loops, and then even our original content that we have, our series, our podcast, all of that is part of this membership. And the tracking map, this is what it looks like when you activate the cameras. And as an example, this is what it looks like from Rodanthe, North Carolina on the Outer Banks this morning. Beautiful, sunny day out there. I know that one of our patrons, Cecil, really enjoys this. I think I updated this one up from Nova Scotia. If it'll load. This is from Lucas up in Nova Scotia, if the internet will cooperate. Maybe it's not going to. Da-da-da. That's fine. We'll check it later. We do have one out in Colorado, by the way, out in Black Forest, where they have had, come on, load for me. It's making me look bad. It's the internet. It's not the system. How about the Virgin Islands? Because I'm going to have to oh, that's wonderful. It does work, I promise. Pahrump, Nevada. We'll give it a shot to load from Pahrump. Look at that. It's my internet. Hopefully my internet's not gone. I mean, it pulled up Rodanthe. But the idea is it works. We fill in all of these cameras. We have 8 slots available. We can add even more than that, honestly. We got the radar for where we're going to be heading. And look, it's even temporarily down. What good timing. Bottom line, though, seriously, I don't care if it wasn't working at the moment. It works when it needs to work. We have an amazing system set up that you can take advantage of that helps you keep on top of what's going on. We have our members, our patrons, our supporters. They all get on the chat. They help each other out. And that's how you do it. It's crowd-funded science. It's crowd-funded projects. It's not a subscription or something that you buy and then you just have a product. It's very interactive, and it's to whatever level you want. And that's how we fund what we do. So hopefully you'll be in the position to get involved. It's not too late. Just because it's October 26th, it's still hurricane season. I mean, come on. We're tracking Zeta. And for you to be a part of that, directly, join up through patreon.com/HurricaneTrack. I'm going to finish this up, post it onto the YouTubes there, and finish packing and head out. I'll be working with our friend here in Wilmington, a new fella. He's one of our patrons as well. His name is Charles Edney. He's going to be joining me to help drive and with some other logistics. My buddy Mike Farrow, not available this week. He's actually doing some work in television production. Congratulations to Mr. Farrow. And then I'll meet up with Greg Nordstrom down in Mississippi. And maybe Brent will be coming up from the Virgin Islands after he turns his camera back on. And doesn't make me look stupid trying to show off my product there. No, sometimes it goes down. I mean, it just happens. But yeah, we're going to be busy tracking Zeta, bringing you the best that we can. All right? As always, thank you for tuning in. That's what matters to me the most, is that I have you on the other side of the screen. Want to keep you safe, want to keep you informed, and I appreciate you watching and hopefully learning something from me. I am Mark Zeta, HurricaneTrack.com. I'll talk to you some more from the Hurricane Highway.